Okay, just want to dive into this really quick. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys how for loops work. So as an example, we said that I can create a output here. I'm just going to do it inside of the developer's environment for Python here. And I'm going to say word equals, and I'll go ahead and say Terry. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say for letter in word colon. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to tab over and say print letter. Now the way this is going to function is it's going to iterate through index 0 all the way to the end of the value inside of the variable of word, and what it's going to do is it's going to print each one of those individual letters when I go ahead and hit enter and execute this script. Now this is very, very useful. And when we talk about lists, as an example, I could say devices. And as I did in the walkthrough, what if I began a list that said R1, comma, R2, comma, R3, comma, R4. So this is a list of routers. And what if I wanted to iterate that list? Well, I would just simply say for device in devices. So what I'm going to do is each of these iterations are going to be assigned to a variable of device, colon. I'm going to tab and I'm going to say print. And then in this instance what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that I am going to want to print opening SSH2 colon space and then comma device. And then what I'll do is I'll go ahead and close my parentheses. Let's see what happens. So in this instance, I could actually use this script and use this list of devices to be able to initiate some function that will be, I promise you, related to actual networking. And we can see here that this is going to go from to R1, to R2, to R3, to R4. And I could even come in and do subsequent actions. So I could actually execute a show run or something along those lines. So what I've got here is kind of like a pseudocode approach, and the pseudocode is basically just showing the logic behind how I can actually use something. And like I said, just about everything that we work with is going to be iterable, and we even have the capability of being able to employ the range feature or the range keywords, which we'll be talking about shortly. So with this all being said and done, we have to keep in mind that this is all about being able to reach out, touch, affect, look at, monitor, and even configure networking devices, whether we're talking about switches, whether we're talking about routers, whether we're talking about ACI fabric, whether we're talking about, I mean, at the end of the day, software-defined WAN, any of these things, these are all applicable to being able to use Python, and these are the basic building blocks that we're going to use to actually construct our scripts. So I just wanted to be able to introduce this idea to you, but it obviously goes much deeper than that. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to teach out of the essential guide or the essential coding reference, and that way I make certain that I'll cover each of the individual topics. And you have examples inside of the .py file for the if, else, and else statements. And we have inside of there the for loop constructs. We also have while loops. We're going to have videos on all of those, but I'm going to try to follow the essential coding reference that was provided as part of this class. All right, so with that being said, I'm Terry Vinson, and I'd like to thank you for learning Python with me.